TMC Stock. TMC, the Metals Company Inc. It closed the session of the 29th of September 2021 at $4.33, a retracement of 17.21%, and I think that's a 52-week low as well. 11.3 million shares crossed the tape, which was below average. So we obviously know that this stock is also a SPAC stock. We brought you a video where we were pointing out that it seems that the investors who were supposed to leave it sufficiently funded didn't do so. So moving on, the stock has continued to retrace as was predicted. So this has been retracing sharply, as you can see graphically what's going on here. It began this retracement from when was that? On the 17th of September. That was when this retracement began and has completely bottomed out. It may even retrace further. So we can see what's going on here. There's some piece of news here. As at the 28th of September, it says here, the Metals Company advances deep sea research program to unlock world's largest known source of battery metals. So offshore Expedition 5C is part of a multi-year $75 million deep sea research program to establish an environmental baseline and analyze the impacts of the metals company's proposed operations to source critical battery metals from deep sea polymetallic nodules. The expedition follows the metal company's September listing on nasdaq and its earlier identification of more than 1.6 billion tons of nodules across two of its contract areas containing battery metal resources sufficient for 280 million electric vehicles, equivalent to the entire US passenger car fleet. The world's largest untapped deposit of battery metals, nickel, cobalt, copper, and manganese, is contained in polymetallic nodules that sits unattached on the Pacific seafloor of the Clarion and Clipperton zone between Hawaii and Mexico. So that's pretty much what the news was all about. So the stock has been retracing. You can see here the readout says it appears to be in a strong bearish trend. Shares are below a declining 200-day moving average, and the MACD is beneath its signal line. Comparative relative strength analysis shows it's lagging the S&P 500. Momentum for TMC strongly bearish. The 14-period slow stochastic oscillator is below 20, the level which many analysts call oversold. This means that investors have been actively selling shares and driving the price lower. That is evidently so. The volume for that last session was heavier than usual, trading 11.257 million shares versus an average of 1.507 million shares per day during the last 12 months. The unbalanced volume indicator is bearish. The slope of the indicator is negative and suggests that there is a lack of buying interest. So even though we have up here that the volume is below average, it is also above average going by the 1 year average, going by the daily average for the last 12 months. So it's definitely above average, but the 10-day average is why the stock is, if you compare it to the 10-day average, that is why you have the volume for that session as being below average. But when you compare it to the daily volume for the last 12 months, then it is above average. So moving on, we have been able to determine a few Fibonacci extension and retracement levels. So we have here that we have the 61.8% Fibonacci extension level. So using September 3rd price of $10 and the September 24th price of $5.12. So that is basically these prices. These are the prices we used. This $10 price here on the I think it's the 2nd of September, yes, and then this $5.12 prices. So basically it's just saying you probably got into the stock at this sort of price, but it has since retraced. So if you find a difference between those two prices, if you find a difference between those two prices, 10 and $5.12, you have a difference of $4.88. So it is this $4.88 that you will multiply. You find a percentage, the 61.8% of that difference, and then when you determine that, then you add it to the closing price of 4.33. That will give you the extension. So that the 61.8% Fibonacci extension level will put the price at $7.3458. This is a modest rate of this is where we're expecting to rebound to at a modest rate, given the sort of margins it has been trading. So you obviously know, okay, it's a highly volatile stock. You can see how it trades. It loses value, by a huge amount, because obviously I think it still has a small float amongst other things. So this is why we tried to also reflect that by using we can see the margin between the two prices is a 4.88. So that's why we use that. The stock of late has not been trading by small increments. It's been trading by huge margins. That's why we did that. So you can always use this formula, determine what it is you want to use. It's any price range you're going to use. Okay, so the 100% extension, 100% Fibonacci extension level is just pretty much the same thing. We find 100% of 4.88. Yes, 4.88, which is also obviously the difference between those two price points we chose, and then we add it to 4.33 to give us $9.21. This is where we expect it to rebound. Okay, so that will not be a modest rebound, so it's going to be a huge rebound, to put that to going all the way to $9.21 from 4.33 is definitely not modest. So even going from 4.33 to 7.34 is not modest, but we just put it at that. So the next one is a 161.8% Fibonacci extension level, and then you do the same thing. You find 161.8% of $4.88, which is 7.8958, and then you add it to $4.33, and it will give you $12.2258. This is where we expect it to extend up to. Obviously, this is also not modest. You see, we have it. What we've written here is that this outcome will place it above all of its closing prices since the last 52 weeks. Anything can happen. The stock is highly volatile. We have seen how it has been extending and retracing sharply. So there's every chance that can happen. It's a small float. Those investors who have removed their money from the stock may come back when the stock may have even retraced further. So that brings us to the retracement levels. In this case, we have the 23.6% retracement level, okay, using the same prices as well. So in this case, we'll just have 23.6% of $4.88. It will be 1.1517. So in this case, we're not going to add, we're going to subtract. So we're subtracting 1.1517 from 4.33 will give you 3.1783. So there's every chance this can also happen. The stock is bearish at the moment. It might retrace, so see what you make of all that we have here, and determine what your position is as it concerns TMC. And we'll continue to update you. Thank you very much for watching this video.